2. Will you please do the roll call, Lisa?
Shannon Hughes Brown.
Here.
Matt Winshot. Ken Cleveland.
Here.
Ken Jackson.
Here.
Blaze Messenger.
Here.
John Post.
Here.
Jessica Lamb. Here. Heather Jacobs. Here. Claudia Lozano. Joe Culata.
Present.
Emily Fuentes. Here. Chris Archer.
Here.
Ron Rickey.
Here.
Dan Russo.
Here.
Thank you. So you can look over the agenda, pretty standard, nothing unexpected on there. So if anyone would like to make a motion to, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
Go move. Second.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Ken. All those in favor?
Aye. Abstain.
Opposed?
I wasn't there last week.
This is for the agenda.
Oh, for the agenda.
Yep.
Do we need to amend it to move the chairperson's comments since she's not here yet?
Yes, we can move the chairperson comments. Well, we don't know when she'll be here, but we will, I'll move that down to under the Arcadis report. All right, so I'll take a motion with that change.
I'll move it again.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Ken. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
You're not gonna say this?
Abstaining?
No, I'm good.
Motion carries. Okay. Approval of the minutes from the April 17th meeting. Those were sent out in advance. Are there any edits or updates to the meeting minutes? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the April 17th meeting minutes.
So move.
Thank you, Ken.
Second.
Thank you, Ken. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And John is abstaining.
Again?
Motion carries. Any public comments? I don't see anybody from the public here, and we did not have any submissions in the inbox. Okay. We moved the chairperson's update down. Communications subcommittee report. I do not have any updates. Design subcommittee report.
So I do have an update this week. So the design subcommittee met on April 24th, which seems like 17 weeks ago at this point, to talk about how to proceed with the wall graphics. And we had a brief discussion on talking about continuing with the path of the digital wall graphics, the plan that we had kind of gone with all along with the digital wall graphics with Perkins Eastman versus taking them out of the project and doing something like with Cromwell Arts Alliance and painting or murals or something like that. And the consensus was to continue on the path of digital wall graphics. We felt that the value is still with the digital graphics, that it was best suited with the school for the look and the feel of the school. It would just look nicer. We knew exactly what we were getting, and can kind of get the most for our buck, so to speak. So we started by going through the different areas, and went through the presentation that Perkins had given us, and the different themes and imagery to narrow down what we liked, what we didn't like, to kind of get a little bit more focus to those spaces and where we kind of thought the graphics should, I guess, where that graphic should develop and how it should develop. So we looked at the media center, the breakout spaces, the cafeteria. We had a good handle about where we thought those would go. We came to a consensus on those. I think as a team, we felt really comfortable in that, putting our heads together, using a lot of the stuff that Perkins had already had given us in their presentation, molding a few things together, melding a few things together. The one question we did have, which I had reached out to Joe, was on Main Street, because when we looked at some of the drawings and the documentations, the construction drawings, there were some smaller boxes that were labeled for graphics. It looked like 7 on Main Street, but then in the design, it looked like 1 larger. So we needed to kind of stop and pause and figure out what we were working with. So Joe came back and said that it's like 620 square feet of graphic. So I just need clarification. Is that total just for Main Street, or is that total for like all the graphics, including media center, cafeteria, breakout space, like everything?
That was just for Main Street.
That was just for Main Street.
Correct.
So we can decide then how to use that 620. So one
Correct.
huge on Main Street, or maybe 3 smaller, or
Right.
we have some flexibility. Okay.
So we don't have to follow where those squares were on the, we could do whatever we want.
So we can change size or, okay.
Right.
So I think that's helpful to know.
Yeah.
So, so the design subcommittee, will follow up. We will regroup again. We'll do some more brainstorming. And then we will probably come back to the full committee with some ideas, and present something to then kind of get the full committee's approval blessing before moving forward and pursuing anything else.
So Joe, is that, is Main Street all above the brick all just like sheetrock, and we have kind of open palette to do whatever we want, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we don't have to
There's-
stay within those,
There is the logo, the middle school logo that's in there, so
Yeah.
we'd have to work with that if that had to shift or.
okay.
But that was on the drawing, right?
Yes.
That's on the drawing.
That's on the drawing as well.
So I have the drawing, so
Yeah.
I know where that is. So
Yeah,
we
I
just
was
have to work
concerned
around that.
Maybe there'd be different wall finishes that we couldn't do
No, I think the
anything,
wall
but
finish
it's
is
all
the same.
sheetrock.
It's just
Okay.
that placement we just have to work
Correct.
around.
Yeah. Yeah. So above the brick is all chipboard.
It's all,
So there's
it's all
the
the same.
logo, there's the marquee, there's the other 3,
Yeah.
the Falcon that's by the auditorium as well. Is that the
Okay.
marquee you were talking about?
No, the marquee is in front of the.
Yeah, so there's 3 elements other than the wall graphics on that wall.
but
So-
it's all the same material, so we can work
The
with
wall
whatever-
is, yes,
yeah.
above the brick.
So
now.
the other 3 elements, are those already in the project?
Yes,
Okay, so that the 620 square feet is in addition to those 3?
right, vinyl wall graphic, yes.
Okay. And Newfield, you don't have an issue if we were to combine them or limit how many there are? Okay.
Usually the contract prefers one larger one versus
Yeah,
a lot
that-
of smaller ones, so.
I'm sure they'd like it down low, too. Okay.
Yeah, I can see.
We'd prefer not to have 7 smaller ones, but. All right, so that was my
Okay.
progress.
Can I
report.
ask another question?
Mm-hmm.
So we had seen some preliminary images from Perkins before. Was that about 620 square feet?
The image of Main Street, I believe, was a little bit larger that the graphic designer showed. It's probably 2/3 of that area.
Okay.
So she had it going all the way from the brick all the way up to the ceiling, and then from
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
it's probably it's shorter than that.
Okay, good to know. The other question I have is, do we have like a graphics or signage vendor that might have, in Newfield scope, that might also have a graphic designer if we wanted to go down that road?
I can look into it for you, for sure.
And I mean, obviously, if we were to hire a graphic designer to help us design something, we would understand that'd be an additional scope. But might be able to work it out within the budget we're talking about.
Yeah, I can find out who the sub is and get back to you.
Okay. Yeah, get back to Heather on that.
Thanks, Ken.
Yeah. Just looking for some other options, that's all.
Okay, anything else? All right. And we're still good timeline for the, do we need to be, I guess, when do we need to be final on designs?
I would say you probably need, at least 12 weeks?
I mean, that's one of the last thing that goes,
Okay.
but it gets
We got
through.
time.
you gotta get through the process of, they have to, whatever you pick, they have to design it.
Yeah.
Their wall graphics.
Print
people,
it.
Send it for approval, all that takes time.
Yep.
So it's probably, we're gonna put them on in, say, June, so you'd wanna be 12 weeks before that. At
Next
least,
June.
At least, yeah.
So,
I was like, wait a second.
But it comes quick.
I know.
so let me ask another question. Your subcontractors who will be procuring it, are they going to be procuring it early? Or how's that going to work if we don't know what the exact size is yet?
That'll be all through the submittal process. They'll need that size, and then they'll produce the submittal based on the graphics.
I guess what I'm asking is, do you need it 12 weeks? You need it earlier than 12 weeks before, so you can procure the material and get it
I don't
printed.
think it's a 12-week lead time for the material.
No.
It's a submittal process that takes
Okay.
a long time.
Because that's gonna go back and forth between
It's gonna
you
go back,
guys,
yeah.
and you're gonna make sure that everything's the way that you want it.
Can it be,
It's a process.
dumb question, if we're done with the process in 6 months and we're like, here, we're done, is that too early?
That's
No,
better.
no,
Okay.
Never too early.
Okay.
Never too early.
Okay, so I didn't know it was one of those things that you're like, no, hold it until we're ready
No,
for
no,
it.
no, no.
Okay,
We'll get
because
it
I would
going.
like to have this done sooner rather
Yeah,
than
no,
later,
that's
so I
right.
would like to not hold this for the next
Yeah.
year, so.
No, you
It
can
will
get it
not
off your
be
plate.
12 weeks before next June, I promise you that.
All right, great, thank you. All right, Perkins Eastman.
Okay. So we just have short agenda tonight. Quick field report, the FF&E discussion kickoff, and then the schedule based on the FF&E. So other than this graphic, we've been going out to the field. Alex Hidalgo, who's our construction administrator, has gone out there 2 or 3 times, I think. Been working, sitting in the MEP coordination meetings, doing field observation, and sitting in on the OAC meetings. We currently have 3 RFIs open, so we've been getting through those and banging through the submittals as quick as we can. We've been getting a lot so far.
What do you mean by having 3 RFIs open?
So there's been RFIs, I forget how many we're up to. 52. So we have 3 open currently of the 52.
So as we go through the construction process, like things that just need clarification?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So FF&E, so we're going to be kicking it off very soon. We'd like to meet with the selection committee, whoever that may be, if it's Dr. Macri or educators or principal, whoever is going to be that. We need to establish who that selection committee is going to be. We need to know if there's any district standards for furniture, if there's anything that's been purchased recently, or general standards that for student desks, student chairs, teacher desks, any basically across the board what the district might use throughout the district, or if we would be starting from scratch, or so we need to know that kind of information. We need to know if anything's going to be reused or relocated from the existing school. I know there's furniture-wise, it's probably not much, but from what I've seen, but there might be new equipment that got purchased that might want to come over.
Dinosaur tracks.
And then we'll do, during the selection process, we'll be meeting with the selection committee, either having furniture delivered maybe to the middle school or to wherever it's determined that would go. Claudio can help with that. Or go to a showroom and see what a dealer that reps multiple vendors might have to show as a demonstration. The budget for the FF&E, so that's furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So that's basically if you pick up the building and shake the building, that's everything that would fall out. That's your FF&E. So the budget for that was established from the original referendum is $1,275,000. The technology FF&E is a separate budget of $622,500. So both of those numbers are a little bit tight. We'd like to see it a little larger, but we'll be designing to those budgets.
Is that the new referendum budget?
That's what I found in the estimate.
I thought
that
the
to
numbers went up.
state.
Yeah, the numbers did go up.
Oh, they
those
did?
two amounts are incorrect.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be a lot more than
I can
that.
get you the new
Oh,
the new
please.
budget.
Yeah, that's what I had from the estimate that went into the state for the PCR.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but that's okay.
Okay.
I'll get you the new numbers.
That went to the state?
the new when the new referendum went out, we bumped up those amounts.
Okay.
So, I think it's like 1.5 for each. I'm trying to download
For
the
each? Okay.
the budget on that one. Yes,
Well,
but I'll
I'm
get
sure
you those amounts
D'Agostino will
today.
be very happy to hear that.
Let's see, I got it right here. Hold on. Original budget, current budget, FF&E technology. We bumped up the communication technology hardware to 1.225. And then the FFE is 1.2 on here.
0.2.
Oh wait, uncommitted balance. Hold on. Sorry. No, I take it back. Wait, it's more than that. No, it's that. No, that is that because we didn't commit anything yet. Yes, 1.2 and 1.225. So we doubled the technology one, it looks like.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
And the FF&E is 1.2. Gosh, I'm so blind.
I think at the beginning, if I recall, the discussions were that we weren't sure if there was going to be FF&E that was going to be reused or not. And then we were basing it off of students' cost, if I'm not wrong. The last time I talked to Jack was about either 2,200, 2,400. But we're talking about 2 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So the technology one we did from the start came in and said that was too low for brand new furnishings. So that's more of a likely number that I've seen now with the most recent elementary school that we just put out. Let's see, as an estimate, I think they're like around 1.2. So I'm very comfortable with that number.
Okay.
The FF&E, we will have to see if we'll get better pricing
And-
through bids or state contracts.
And that does not include the central admin. That's where the 75,000 comes in for central admin, and then additional 20,000 for technology.
Right. Central admin has its own budget, yep.
Yeah. So that's total between the two. But the you have the top one right. The technology one's off
Okay.
by like double. Technologies that include like monitors, laptops.
Not laptops.
It includes everything except that laptops are not reimbursable by
Right.
the state.
Okay.
So if the school would like to get computer monitors, laptops, all that stuff, it's ineligible.
Okay.
Smart boards are eligible, printers are eligible. Computers, if they're in a computer lab, those are eligible for reimbursement.
So like
Like a
desktop
desktop.
computers
Yes,
in the
for-
offices.
For those are ineligible. Desktop computers in a computer lab are
Okay.
eligible.
But the desktop computers in like the offices.
Ineligible for
Ineligible.
reimbursement. Yeah, any iPads, any Chromebooks, those are all ineligible for
Okay.
reimbursement. But
Are the
network
carts
equipment,
eligible?
the carts are eligible for reimbursement. Printers are,
3D printers.
3D printers are. Yes,
That's part of the technology.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
part of technology too.
AV,
AV equipment,
projectors.
yeah. Smart boards,
Yeah.
those are all part of
Okay.
it. We will probably have to go out to bid for some of those things.
Wireless access points.
Yep, eligible for reimbursement.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So just a quick recap of the floor plan. So most of your spaces are teaching spaces, and once we pick the four big items are the student desk, the student chair, the teacher desk, and the teacher chair. That covers 75% of the school. So we had done an early layout back in SD that we've updated along the way as the plan developed. So some of the blow-ups of the spaces, just the typical classroom with the 24 desks and chairs. One of these will be a larger desk that's an accessible desk that allows for a wheelchair to sit at the desk, and the chair would be pulled off to the side, and then the teacher desk and chair. And then science lab, again, tables, usually with 2 stools, but this will all be vetted out once we have the user meetings and the selection with the selection committee. And then just showing that they can be reconfigured.
When do you need the selection committee by?
So our understanding is that we want to do this probably before the end of school, so within the next 6 weeks.
Okay.
If the educators are going to be part of the selection committee.
And these all need to be selected before school ends this year?
We want to get the thing going.
Right.
Okay.
We want to get the process moving so that we can get samples and we can start working on budgets.
That didn't answer Rosanna's question, though. Does it all have to be selected by the end of the school year? That's like
That's
four
probably- I think-
4 and a half weeks away.
Right.
I think that's probably nearly impossible.
Yes.
But
So-
I don't-
What's the lead time on this stuff, typically?
So, looking at the schedule, if we had selection into July overlapping with design and documentation, we would anticipate doing the documentation through the summer, being able to come back in September when everybody's back and have a final review, and then go to the state for the PCR for the furniture in September.
And then you can go to bid after that.
And then go to bid. I have in here about 6 weeks for approval, based on how long it took to get through the building. That may or may not be enough time. And then the bid would be, we're anticipating 4 weeks, and then award being around January. So hopefully, maybe before the end of the year. But we were planning slightly longer in case of the holidays.
But the approval to bid, Joe, is for the FF&E. Is Perkins trying to procure everything by bid or by state contract?
That's part of the question that we have is for the procurement process.
Yeah.
If it's going to be state bid, or state contract, or if it's going to be hard bid for everything.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that will cause an impact. If it's a state contract, the approval process, even at the state, is much smoother for FF&E items for the fact that they have their own vendors and it's easily approval. So they see the majority of it of a state contract, it's easier to award. There are some limits in the amounts you can purchase, but I think there's not that many. But if you go out to bid, then you have to prepare a different book. You have to present the form. You have to go through a lot more process than that. That's why the recommendation for a procurement process and most of our recent clients is get as much as you can off the state contract, and then the rest that you can't get off a state contract, you go out to publicly bid it. If there's a unique item, it's a sole source. We've had that with custodial equipment. Claudio can speak to that most of the time. When towns have a certain custodial vendor that they will not like to change because it brings you warranties or it brings you training, then we have to ask the state to give us permission to just get that sole source vendor to get approval. So it is going to be very important that the committee makes a decision whether it's going to be a mix. Let Perkins know if you can get it through state, go right ahead, and then whatever's left, we'll bid it.
Is going through state a cost and schedule savings, or both, or neither?
I think it's neither. I think it's faster because you don't have to wait 4 weeks to bid it. Once the state tells you, here's the letter of approval, go ahead. The next day you can ask the vendor to give you a quote. The next day you can tell the town, I need this PO, and
Yeah.
so you lose 4 weeks when you go out to publicly bid because you have to go to 4 weeks.
But then those vendors
Come
can,
back.
can totally take advantage of the fact that they're a state vendor.
Well, and typically some towns say, I would like to reach out to 2 or 3. You don't just get one.
Okay.
During the estimate process, that's what they will do is search, say, or break it out into different pieces because 1 or 2 vendors cannot have the same manufacturer. So break it down and say, I just don't want to get everything from one guy. So that's part of that whole procurement area on that end too.
Okay.
It's up to you to do that.
Well, I just want to make sure we're doing this as cost effectively as possible.
Yeah.
If it's, I'd rather save hundreds of thousands and spend 4 weeks doing it than,
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that case, then I would recommend that the sooner decisions are made, the better, because OGA right now, it's not guaranteed a 4 to 6 week. We've seen it with the phase 2.
Yeah.
So technically, if Joe's building a 4 to 6 week, you might as well say 2 months, just in case.
So that brings me to my original question. What is the typical lead time for,
I've seen it be 12 weeks for some FF&E items.
and we're giving ourselves, what, 6 months-ish?
Yeah, so from January
Yeah.
to July, so yeah, about 6-7 months.
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
So, I mean, and then depending on, I mean, I had 2 months for deliver and install, so they could trickle in, or we could shorten that and have everybody come in at the same time and do it all in August.
If we were to go with state contract, is there less selection?
Right. Is there less selection?
Yeah,
Like
like, do we?
Available vendors?
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'd have to check with my people that actually design the furniture and well, not design it, but
Yeah.
select it with the committees. I don't.
No, like, do we only have, 2 choices of a desk or something, whereas if we were to go to bid, we'd have obviously a lot more selection.
Do you know, Emily, if there's?
There's plenty of manufacturers that are available on state contract, and they give you, there's one state contract that has about 25 approved vendors, and they all serve different manufacturers, just depending on what exactly you would like, which is why I brought up the fact that you can break it up.
So there's a good amount of
It's a good
selection.
amount,
So
yeah.
we should be able to get a list of vendors then before, right?
Yes, you can. I mean, there's about 2, 3, 4 state contracts that provide FF&E. Different depends on what you will need. Of course, when it comes to technology, when it comes to the equipment, that's a more narrow list. Like, for example, I think there's only one that provides Cisco products. So it's like, okay, if you get it from a state, he's the only one. But if you don't use Cisco, then you obviously have to go bid.
What you normally find under FF&E for state contracts is like Robert Lord, huge manufacturing company for furniture. The whole contract, or their whole catalog is under state contract. The pricing scheme is so much off list. And that may vary to, a desk may be a different list deduction than a chair, but you're not looking at 3 tables and 3 chairs, you're looking at their entire catalog.
Gotcha. And I know it was late, so I apologize if you went over this at the beginning, but what is the process with the committee as far as selecting? I just want to be clear as to the steps we will take.
That was actually our first question: is who would be the selection committee? Who is the decision maker in ultimately choosing the furniture and what's needed for the school?
So the subcommittee would come off from the building committee, but we would solicit feedback from a group of teachers that Anne would probably pull from, my guess.
It was seen as high up as superintendents be involved and curriculum directors. Claudio's the
Claudio
facilities
definitely be
director.
around, yeah.
Sometimes it's department heads versus teachers.
I would say at a minimum, Claudio definitely has to be on the committee because you're going to have to deal with all this stuff when it breaks. And then, I mean, like Blaze, if you want to be on there and represent teachers, you could be on there. At a minimum, I would say at least the 2 of them.
Yeah, I would say
John Post, yeah, because of his experience. So, the
Nominating
If I
John.
may make a recommendation,
Yeah.
definitely have the principal, add or designate, the principal could designate someone. It's very important when you're building a school that the people who are gonna be using
oh, absolutely.
is the ones who are making the decision. Ultimately, the school building committee oversees the choices and makes a decision whether are we making good choices, bad choices, too much money, not enough money.
Can you make sure
Whatever
you're
the case
speaking
is.
to
But they're
him,
the ones
please?
who, once
Oh,
we all walk away, I'm sorry, once everyone the school building committee walks away from this project and everything's completed, they're the ones who are gonna be using it. So if you don't have their buy-in, it doesn't really work. So I strongly recommend that school personnel will be the ones who are taking a look at the samples, trying the seats out. Part of the process is ultimately to narrow down. As Ken Jackson said, even if you're using Robert Lord, there's thousands of different products in there. There's tens and hundreds of different desks and different manufacturer that they carry. They're a distributor and a seller, but they carry different manufacturers. So it's the teachers who narrow that list down. They get to see the products, and get and choose from there. And my biggest beef when I get into the FF&E is don't show them a $300 desk when we can't afford a $300 desk.
Yeah.
That concept of a blank check confuses people, and then all of a sudden.
So would my recommendation be like the subcommittee that be derived from the billing committee and yourself, Claudio, would first take a stab at seeing what the options are, and then bringing those options to the teachers, to the faculty, to get their input on it. Have discussions with them, figure out what they like, what they don't like, what they need, what they don't need, and then, then bring it back to Perkins with thoughts, ideas, and things like that.
Yep. The whole classroom setup concept is evolving. It has been evolving, especially COVID brought another aspect of how student desks are set up that nobody even had thought about before. So now more classes are being built around flexibility, being able to move and connect desks together so you can make small groups, individual groups.
Yeah.
So that we need that input from the school staff on where that education concept is going forward.
And I think we need to understand that there may be a few iterations, right? You may provide some options. We may bring those to the teachers and the staff, and they may say that's not going to work. None of these options work for whatever reason. That's too short. They need to move. They don't need to move, whatever it is. Then the committee brings it back. Okay, these don't work. Give us new options. Like, there has to be at least one or two iterations of that.
Yeah, start with the principal
there,
and the teachers first.
Oh, sorry. Like similar to when Perkins first came on board, is there, I think it's yours is on. Is there like a discovery process? I know you did like a day of meetings with the teachers and there's different representatives. I forgot how those representatives were selected, but it was kind of like a discovery of just listening, right? Like getting that feedback and then kind of using that to come up with like what that first iteration, like that's not going to prevent a lot of iterations, but like what does that look like from Perkins?
Right, so we have
perspective?
The notes from those user meetings back in whenever that was, October, November of 22, I think it was. So we'll use those notes to start developing what we have. Some of that's already in what we have in our model, but there's obviously spaces that we didn't discuss, like the media center needs to understand what type of bookshelves they would want. They want rolling bookshelves and things like that, soft furniture, hard furniture, things like that. So that's getting into the details. But so we would expect to maybe have one more round of just gathering information on spaces that we still have questions on. And then typically how we would do it is have this selection committee. We would get an understanding of what type of desk that would be needed, and then have multiple options of that to be reviewed, or even multiple. Is it a table desk, or is it a desk with like what you have behind you it's combined with a tablet, which we don't really see much of anymore? Is there a basket underneath or not? And where do the kids put their backpack? So there's a lot of little pieces just on the student desk itself. Sometimes they're trapezoid shaped, sometimes they're triangle shaped, so you could make different configurations within the classroom of different tables when you group them together. So we would have all those different type of options. Do you want a cantilever chair or four-stool leg chair? So we would have like multiple options of different furniture pieces delivered or go to the showroom. That is like a kind of like a 4-hour symposium, for lack of a better word, of
where would
looking
the
at
showroom
options.
be?
Well, Arcadis has worked with Suburban, Robert Lord. I know Suburban you said they have their showroom is in Middletown, so you could go right there, right to the showroom, or we could have stuff delivered from multiple different manufacturers. We've done that before too, but that relies on needing a space to have that stuff delivered to, and being able to have it in like a space like this that you would see each of the desks with the chairs, and it gets to be a lot.
Okay.
Too many choices is going to confuse everybody.
Oh, I know. That's what I'm saying. I think the committee needs to come up with like the short list based off of cost and what we understand the requirements to be.
Yeah,
And then-
that's why that like kind of info gathering session.
Well, they had they say they had the info gathering already back in
No, but I
2020.
We
heard
had
that-
it for programming, and we did touch on some furniture, but not all.
Okay.
I don't know if
I
every
heard there's
space-
still open questions. There's still open
There's
questions.
probably still
Yeah.
open questions,
For the-
yes.
the media center.
So we
places like
we
that.
would go back through that and
Okay.
see what we still had as
So
questions.
step one is to do another user case study.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Not to mention all the administration desks too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to central office yet.
It'd be good to get a summary of that so that we can get confirmation with the faculty and staff as to what the requirements are.
Mm-hmm. So one
Yeah,
of
and
the-
we'll have to know who needs to be at that gathering session based off like what's absent from your notes.
Mhm.
Okay, and then step two would be to go look at stuff.
No, I think step 2 would be that some of the ideas and stuff get presented to like the subcommittee to kind of narrow down what you would go look at.
Oh, well, would it be easier to look at it so they can know what they're narrowing down to?
I don't know. I guess Joe can tell us the best practice.
Is there a
Oh,
process
reach
that
out
you
to-
usually? Yeah, is there a process that you usually use? So we
typi-
don't have to make it up as we go along.
Typically, we would get.
That's what we do here.
Yeah, so we would want to.
Adapt.
Some of the things here that's on this list is what if there are any district standards for type of desk, type of chairs, that type of any equipment throughout the school, and then we would be able to. Typically, the way I've seen it is we then get a bunch of different items and have it looked at like a sample, like a full-scale sample, and then people sit in the chairs and sit at the desk and see which is more comfortable and what's light and more durable and things like that. So, and then
Then down select.
we
There's
could
a lot
also
of
do a
things,
presentation
yeah.
on that too, and then just do
The other
it.
thing too that I'm sure you guys know, Claudio and Ken, that you gotta make sure that the bottoms of that furniture plays nicely with the floor too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that.
So you don't end up with tennis balls on all the chairs.
Right, right, yeah.
So it sounds like there's like that sample, view the samples, that would be with whoever we identified to be part of the FF&E selection committee.
Correct.
And then in the gathering session information, would you also share all that with that selection committee
Oh yes. Yeah.
first? Okay.
I mean, maybe if we had any additional meetings, somebody from that selection committee should probably be at those meetings as well to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we could do it just as a survey, like if we have a list of questions and send it to you and then pass it to the school to get the answers that way. Might be faster.
Yeah, I would say the survey's good, but I think a lot of times, you know, when you have the hands-on conversation, that goes
Yeah.
Right.
a lot easier than just trying to, you know.
Develop a selection committee, review what the parameters are that's already been discussed. Allow Jones' team to meet with the rest of the groups for any additional information, either information that's lacking or spaces that have not been determined.
Mm-hmm.
Have that information brought to the selection committee, and with that information, Joe and his team should already have a draft of some of the items that would fit those criteria. And then the selection committee would view those and narrow those down. Then it goes back over to the principal and the staff to review what the selection committee has understood based on the specification and what the designers have understood and presented. And they're to a final.
That's where the rub's gonna be, potentially.
Well, there's always going to be a rub because
Like, are we asking for their approval, or are we telling them based on what you told us, this is what we selected? Because we can keep going around and around and around,
Right.
and that's what we
wanna
can't
avoid
do.
that.
well, at some point, the selection committee is the one who makes the final decision. So we use the selection committee to listen to the staff and what they
Oh,
need.
yeah.
And the selection committee aren't the experts on student desks and student furniture as the teachers and the administrators are. So we always have to remember, even though the selection committee has the final decision authority, they're not really the authority on student desks and how they're going to be
I
used.
think, but the final has to come to the building committee as the fiscally responsible body, and I think that selection committee should include educators too, though.
That-
I think one of the
The selection committee and the educators are the one who are gonna make all the decisions. Once they've all come.
No, I
to a-
disagree with that.
Let me finish, please. Once the selection committee and the administrators have agreed on what it is, then it's brought to the school, the construction committee for their final approval.
Mm-hmm.
The committee is the only one who at the end says, yes.
Yep. Okay, thank
What
you.
I'm saying, what you're presenting is the members of the school building committee are part of the selection committee. Those are your representative as the school building committee to make the decision on behalf of the school building committee. You follow me? That's why you send that. Why put members of the school building committee on the selection committee if you're gonna make the final decision anyway? The only thing you need to know at the end is, this is what we saw, this is what we looked at the prices, we made sure we're in budget. Do you have a problem with any of this? It shouldn't, you don't wanna start this whole process. all
No,
over
no,
again.
absolutely not, but it has to come back for a final vote.
The
has
school
to,
building
yeah.
committee always has the final vote.
Yeah, you have to approve the estimate at the end.
Yeah, exactly. From a fiscal standpoint, we need to have that final say. I just want to make sure that doesn't get lost, because in previous situations within this building project, that was not the case. So that's why I need to be crystal clear about that.
Right. I don't know what happened before I came, but all I'm saying is, the final decision is always based on a vote of all the members of the school building committee. Doesn't have to be unanimous, it just has to be a majority. But you're sending members of the school building committee as part of the selection committee to be your representative, because they understand the fiscal responsibility that the school building committee have. Staff may or may not be concerned about the fiscal responsibility. They may only be concerned about what's best for the kids and what's the best thing we can get, and that looks really nice, and sure, I like a mushroom chair, but can we afford a $600 mushroom chair? Those kind of things. So, believe me, the school building committee makes the final decision. What you don't want to get is a back and forth and having the school building committee pick out the colors of the chairs. That should be done by the selection committee. Otherwise, you'll never finish this project.
So it sounds like the selection committee should be a mixture of people from this building committee as well as people from the school.
Oh, definitely. You should definitely always have a member of school building committee on any selection committee.
Yeah. So I would say we need at least 2 people from the building committee. Claudio, you'd be one of them. And then another one, I should say, in addition to the 2. And then ideally you'd want someone from the administration staff to deal with all the administration, FF&E. You'd want an educator, teacher, and then maybe a specials teacher who would work with like the music teachers, the gym,
Unified arts.
the
Some
fine
type of
arts, all that
unified
stuff.
arts,
And what about special education?
And special education would be the other one. So what was that, 4? And then probably someone from central admin.
But
Who-
do we need all those people on the selection committee, or are those people just
I think
like
they have.
I'm afraid of having too many hands in the pot, right? Like
I get it, but
like we can certainly, the selection committee can always go to those specific people and be like, these are the things we're thinking about for your space. I want to make sure that it will work for your space and there's no issues and whatever, and use them as a resource.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to overwhelm and have 17 different
Just
opinions
use them as
and
consultants and input.
right, and use them for input.
It'd
but
be the 7 people total, I think is my number that I counted, or 8.
I think if you designate, like you had mentioned, Rosanna, John, you had mentioned because of his experience. You had mentioned Blaze, he's a part of the school. I think Heather has had enough of the design committee, so she has some experience too, unless she doesn't want to. And then you have Claudio. But you have these these members that can be your final vote. And then, then you designate John, Blaze, Heather, and Claudia and say, you guys are the final vote. You know the budget. You know what we would like to see. And then they can just set up these meetings with Perkins and these other 4 that you've said but like you've mentioned, and like Shannon has mentioned, you need someone to know that this is the budget, that you're not gonna buy a $600 chair just because it's pretty. And I've seen them.
Yeah.
Teachers sometimes want those chairs that glide back and forth to avoid the kids doing it.
Yeah. I think I was just trying to back brief what Claudia was
Yeah.
trying to tell me, because it sounded like, Claudia, you wanted people from the school to be on the actual selection voting committee.
They're part of the selection committee that's.
Choosing the items.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
reviewing
So are they the
items.
ones voting on what goes
They're not-
in?
They're not voting, they're not a voting
Yeah.
members, they're the one who we're trying to,
Get
we're trying to
ideas.
accommodate the staff. We're not trying to accommodate
Okay.
the school.
So I would
building
say they're key stakeholders, but they're not actually part of the selection committee.
Right.
There's a difference, right? If you're in a selection committee, whoever's on the selection committee will do like call it a pre-vote to the building committee vote.
Yep.
And they say, this is what we're gonna bring to the building committee, and those 2 or 3 people will decide what goes to the
Yeah.
building committee. Everyone else, the faculty, the staff, they will be key stakeholders that the
Yep.
selection committee would then go to, like what Heather's saying, and get the input from.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll listen to them and try to accommodate their requests.
Okay.
But ultimately, we're the ones who will be bringing to the school building committee the final proposal, the final furniture, the final budget. And say, this is what, through our work with the school, this is what we've decided, this is what we're bringing to you for approval. And then the school building committee either approves or disapproves.
Because like Heather said, you don't want 10 cooks in one pot, otherwise you're never gonna get them with it.
Just logistically too, like trying to get people together for a meeting you're just gonna, it's gonna
Oh, yeah.
drag and drag
I
and
know.
drag and drag.
So, are you up for this challenge, Claudio? Okay. All right, do we need to vote on creating this subcommittee, Yeah, we do, right?
Last time we did, and then we usually would,
We did vote on it last
how
time.
did
We
we
not-
vote on a chair, or did the committee pick the chair?
The
The
committee.
subcommittee, I guess technically it's a subcommittee.
I think we voted on the chair.
I think it was
Yeah.
nominated.
It was
and then
nominated, then we
voted.
voted. So,
Well, does anybody else want to be on this subcommittee?
yes, anyone else want to be on this committee? Besides John and Blaze, who've been voluntold?
I trust John and Blaze.
Anyone else?
Okay.
I mean, you can always pull me in as needed too. Like I'm got my fingers in everything, so it's fine. All right, and then Claudio, you'd be our. Okay,
I make a motion to establish a FF&E selection subcommittee with members John Post, Blaze Messenger, and Claudio Bizzano.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All opposed, say nay. Anyone abstaining? Motion carries. And then, would either one of you want to be the chair? Claudio?
Am I voluntold also?
Yes. Well, you're gonna be close to all the teachers and staff anyway, so it makes the
Yeah.
most sense, really.
I agree.
Okay. Take a motion.
I'll make a motion to nominate Claudia as the chair of the FF&E selection subcommittee.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Anyone abstaining? Motion carries. Very good.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, John.
Let's get that ball rolling.
Yeah, you got 6 weeks.
Yes.
Claudia.
Yeah, we're gonna give it a try.
So is it clear what needs to be done and when it needs to be done by?
Yeah, so that is the other part, Ron, is the technology. So we'll have to meet, D'Agostino will have to meet with the IT director as well as part of this whole.
Yeah.
They're usually parallel tracks. So D'Agostino usually runs the technology part.
Yeah.
We do the furniture part, and then it all comes together.
Are you saying we need another subcommittee, or is it the
No, I don't
same?
That's
think
just
it's
the IT
same,
director?
Yeah, but maybe add in the IT director. That would be who we would be
Add that
meeting
person
with,
to
right?
the committee.
Yes.
So it sounds like this subcommittee and Perkins Eastman will meet with users, starting with the school, with Anne and maybe a select few people to gather information as well as with central administration, which will be Dr. Macri, I'm assuming, and whoever she
Just-
might wants to
Just a
have there.
reminder that all meetings go through the subcommittee.
Correct. So I will go through Claudio and Ron and get those set up.
Okay.
And probably starting next week.
Okay, so we'd want to do the gathering info within the next 4 weeks, because then you're losing.
I would say within the next 10 days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that way we
might
could
be
get-
sporty.
Yes, it's
because they're all
very
preparing
sporty.
for finals and stuff.
Yeah.
But okay.
Because then we'll want to also have them look at actual samples as well
Yeah.
before they're gone from the summer, unless they're the people that are going to be selecting and will be here all summer. Then that deadline does not apply.
Any teacher development days we can pull them out of?
We don't have any.
They don't.
Not until the fall.
Oh, you're
They're all
reasonable.
done. Yeah.
All right.
Now they just have concerts and field
Concerts,
trips,
field trips.
all the things, all at the end.
So,
Field
so again,
day.
what are the critical dates?
So much stuff.
Joe, what are the critical dates?
So I guess the critical date is anybody that would be making a selection or giving us information. If they were gone after the last day of school, that would be the critical date that we would need to hit.
Okay, so it's information gathering and preferences
Correct.
before the last day of school,
Yeah.
and over the summer it's
Over the summer will be
final selection process.
right. So over the summer, based on that selection, we'll be doing the design based off of that and the documentation to go to the state.
Okay, so then the school and the selection committee have to be done, like, this is the desk that we're gonna get.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Otherwise, we won't. We'll have again. We'll end up with placeholders, and we don't want to do that.
Is it normal that we
'Cause we
only
won't be
do
able
this
to
in
develop
6
it.
weeks?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Right at the end
I've
of
seen all
school?
different time spans depending on the teams that are involved. But as far as this is concerned, any information that we need that's critical with a short timeline are teachers. Administrators are here all summer. Central office is here all summer. So,
I live right down the street. I'm here also.
and Blaze is right down the street.
Okay.
So, it can be done. If you narrow the options, it'll move faster.
Okay.
If you give them, you say, go on the internet and tell me what you want, then it could take 6 months. If you narrow, look at these, look at these, look at these, come back, give us some ideas of which direction you want to go, where the selection committee, we'll narrow it down, we'll talk prices, we'll start developing budgets, and then we might have some reiterations once we know how much money we've already bitten off. If we have any extra, to say, well, we have a little extra money to do something special if you want to do in this area or not.
Okay.
But the more we can go back and forth within the next 6 weeks before they're gone, the better chance we have again. So, we're solving it. Conversations will probably end up with the school administrator to release some of the staff, whether they have to cover classrooms for an hour or so. You're not going to get a 4-hour meeting out of teachers at this time of the year, but if we need to meet with them for 30 minutes, a half hour, do a virtual, there might be some options there.
Okay, that's why I'm asking. So if you're comfortable as the chair, I'm comfortable.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay.
Joe,
Thanks.
can you get some catalogs sent to Claudio from like Robert Lord and stuff like that to start the process? 'Cause
I'll start knocking on Ann's door and say, hey, I need to know what you're thinking here, so we can start driving this furniture towards something you'll all be happy with, rather than us. And they're gonna look like, well, no, this is nothing. I want to get some feedback from her and her staff of what they're envisioning for the school.
Is Ann here also?
Yes, she's the principal. She's here all summer.
All right. Any other comments, questions for Perkins? All right. Let's move on to Newfield.
Do we want the video first?
There's a video?
Yeah, you can go with that first.
I like videos.
So you're
Ooh,
looking at the
video.
CAO right there. North is on your right, south is on your left. That's coming through C building, the cafeteria, all that area right now. You're coming up to where that's B building right there. We're at footings right now. There's your elevator shaft. You can see that we're forming walls on the far side of B right now.
Looks dry.
Yep, that's the stairs.
Yeah, it looks dry.
That's the stairs of the two-story part.
After yesterday. Or
Yeah.
This morning.
It doesn't even look that bad. I drove by today.
Once
This
again, there's
afternoon.
your elevator pit and the party wall, firewall between C and B. That's your media center right there. We've poured the walls already for the foundation. And that's it.
That's so exciting.
Yeah. So there's my update, Ron.
Nice work, Chris.
There's your office, right, Chris? Yeah, that's yeah.
Things
that's
are
mine and Dan's
happening.
office.
All those baseballs.
That's awesome.
That was easy, bud.
Yeah, exactly.
I love videos. I want a video every week.
All right, so right now I'll just hit some highlights here.
Can we get a copy of that video?
Absolutely, I have it on thumb drive right here.
Nice.
Our original
Yeah.
date of completion was September 2nd. We're showing August 26th, I believe, right now. Just keep in mind that right now we're doing schedule updates. That's going to shift back and forth for a little while here as we, yeah, that's for the building. Yep. And
Is that
as you can see right here, our revised contract's still at about 59,000. You got nothing out of our contingency yet on either of the projects. We're tracking right about, I can't even see. We're tracking about 10% of the completion of the schedule.
Can we get a microphone over there? Yeah. Sorry.
We have about 18% of the activities complete and 17% of the contract billings out right now. Thank you. As of this report that I have right here, there were 48 total RFIs, and our submittals were about 42% complete. We have no deviations or anything to speak of right now. There's been no architect's report of deficiencies or engineers or anything of that nature.
What are we getting RFIs on at this point?
All different types of things like, finishes of walls where we may need another detail, dimensions of where footing walls are going to be, things of that nature. Once again, we finished the primary duct bank all the way around the north side. You can see here that we're still bringing in stockpile of subgrade material. That's all going to go into the A building. We already reported on the fact that we finished the irrigation. Dan, has that been livened up? Yeah, so this pump is functional now and live. It can feed anything that it needs to.
Chris, yeah, is that pump accessible to the wireless?
Yes,
All right.
it's connected to the.
Control it out of the school and put it outside.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. We continue to install site drainage. This is actually on the north side of the building.
Is this in addition to the ones we talked about last time? You had like seven wells, pumps?
Oh, no, this is permanent structures. These
Oh,
aren't
permanent ones.
temporary. No, this is permanent storm drainage.
Ah, okay, very nice.
Yep. Same thing with this. This is on the north side as well. Actually, this is the south side. I apologize. You can see we're tying in all of the lines that are coming from the existing parking lot, as well as creating new pathways to the TST through through these manhole structures. As you can see here, once again, this is your media center right in this area here. We've come all the way around with the walls to right about here right now. We're formed out all the way around to here about, give or take, for walls right now. We're continually pouring on about 2-3 times a week as far as footings and walls are concerned. So we're going back and forth between the two.
And that's the double story, that's the 2-story wing?
Yeah, this is all B building, yep.
Okay, and then A building is the single wing?
That's correct.
And that one is just not started, less advanced than this one, was it?
No, yes, that is correct. We started at this point right here, which is that would be the southeastern corner of the media center.
Okay.
And we're working our way clockwise around the building. Yeah, A will be last, yep. Here's a picture of our formwork, concrete going in.
Oh, a rebar.
And once again, there's our footings advancing with walls being formed. I put a schedule update in there. Once again, the final date is going to be moving a little as we do these schedule updates.
Have we still been pumping out water, or are we kind of dry now?
We're still pumping, and we're actually pretty dry right now. But we're going to actually come up with a plan before the end of next week on our next recommendation of if we believe that you should continue for another month or if we can shut it down.
At this point, stormwater though, right? Because we should have pumped out if we're dry.
It's a little bit of both, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, we're control, the stormwater is being controlled at the ground, we're monitoring the groundwater elevation every day, so.
Isn't the groundwater go up when the stormwater comes down?
Somewhat, but it drains.
I mean, it's where else is the water coming from?
Well, it drains down pretty quick. If your groundwater levels are where they should be, it drains down quicker. So we are monitoring. The groundwater elevation has went down 2-3 feet since we started pumping.
Yeah.
It's still high, but it's much better. Oh yeah, yeah.
So what was the
We're a
high
couple
point
feet
of
below.
the groundwater that you encountered?
142.5 elevation, around there.
So 4 feet higher than what was in the borings?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're where now?
Right now we're around 139, 139.5, 140.
That was yesterday afternoon.
Yesterday afternoon. This afternoon it was around 139.
So when does it ever become stormwater drainage and not groundwater drainage?
It's the stormwater is being directed into the TST right now. That's the site is sloped into the TST right now, taking a bunch of runoff. Well, you went by there today, right, Shannon? You see how full the pond was? A couple days ago it was dry.
Because, I mean, we keep hitting our contingency for removing it, but groundwater is your stormwater is your responsibility, right?
It's our subcontractor's responsibility.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
So it's good to get a clear distinction between the two.
That's why Chris said we're analyzing the next step for the end of next week.
Okay, gotcha.
Whether we have to continue a plan or some type of hybrid plan, or we don't have to do anything. We'll know by the end of next week.
But it's gonna be nice and sunny and dry for the next month, so. Just like today, so bright and sunny. All right.
Yeah, this was all, if there's any detail or any questions on this, I can answer anything you need.
How much did the drainage issue cause us in delay, like 5 days?
As part of the initial change order, it was 15. I've already shown that as being elapsed, though, and we're still looking okay.
Okay. Okay.
PCO log right now, this is for central admin. I had one on there, but we voided it out. It's going to be an allowance expenditure. And then on the Cromwell Middle School, right now we have 12 of them and 3 state change orders. And then as far as our allowances, CM contingency use, we haven't used anything on CAO, and we haven't used anything on Cromwell Middle School either. And then, like we were talking about, just to give you an idea, a lot of these are the RFIs, requests for information, and a couple of these right here are for steel. Just trying to get clarifications for shop drawings so that we can get the items into fabrication. And then a lot of what was happening on this RFI log was MEP coordination, trying to make sure that your plumbing, your electrical, your HVAC is fitting within the spaces that were designated for it. Those are the kinds of questions that we're fielding right now. And that's it for this report.
So for committee members who are not aware, when they were, I don't know if you mentioned this earlier, I don't know. When they were digging out the northern end, they found another septic tank buried.
Another one?
Another one. There was one on the east side, now there's one on the west side. And they didn't know what was in it, what it was used for, so they had to do some testing to make sure that it wasn't contaminated with something, and the piping they went to, they had tested, a bunch of testing. And then they have to remove it. So this charge on here for the 26,000 is for the removal of that septic tank.
Yeah, and that's that septic galley, the clay pipe and everything, as well as the pipe that was, we thought may have been asbestos, but is not, has all been removed. The tank remains. Now that we know that that water is not contaminated or have anything in it, we're going to go ahead and remove that as well. So that work has already proceeded.
Where was that?
It was on the west side of the, well, it would be actually northwest corner of the site.
Yeah, west side of this current school. And we had talked about, Claudia had mentioned like maybe like filling it, but I think the structural integrity, we just figured it'd be safer to take it out. All right, any questions for Chris? The Herbert Porter Road permanent concrete sidewalk. Don't we have a permanent sidewalk in there right now?
Yes, that was part of the early procurement
Why is it under
process.
potential change orders?
A potential change order, if you look at that, it says that it's approved. It's just a running tally of all the change orders.
Oh, so it's not potential, it's a change order.
That's what we call change, yeah.
Okay.
In the system there.
All right. All right. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Arcadis?
Okay, so today I'm sitting in for Jack. He's on vacation, enjoying the nice sunny beach weather. Can't blame him. So tonight's agenda is the construction phase updates that both Ron and Chris will touch base upon. There's going to be some photos, and then I have 2 items for record and the invoices for approval. Ron?
All right, Chris, you want to take it away on this? I mean, you and I worked on this, but I think you can probably better explain.
Yeah, so the subgrade filling, that's the 3.5 inch minus that we've been bringing in for establishment of bringing up the pad for the building. That continues. Temporary drainage is continuing, as well as dewatering. The foundation excavations, we've made it all the way down to the what would that be? The southeast corner of the building, which is the corner of the D wing there, where the auditorium would be. We've made it down there with the excavation. Forming of the footings and walls, once again, is ongoing in the B building. I think we're looking to get that pretty much wrapped up within the next week or so here. Yeah, by the 24th, so 2 weeks from now. We should be moving out of that area completely and then into the backfill process in there. And then that would mean that our excavation and forming of footings and walls will be into the C building at that point. We did foundation actually waterproofing at the elevator pit. That will continue once the pour is complete on the foundation walls of the elevator pit. And we're getting ready on Monday to actually start doing the damp proofing on the exterior of the foundation wall at the media center. That's the roll-on Karnak. It's an emulsion. As far as the construction process is concerned, the building pad is nearing completion. We've been pushing more material into the A wing. That seems to be the only area that's left. I already notified you that the west side galley system is gone. In the bioretention basin, they continually are widening that and allowing it to take on more and more of the groundwater, stormwater, whatever water is on site. As far as site work activities are concerned, Tri-State is out there. They're monitoring compaction, they're monitoring rebar, they're monitoring concrete pours with cylinders. You name it, they're out there doing their testing. Freeman is out at least once a week, if not twice, monitoring our stormwater program. Mather is still working on sourcing a site for the contaminated soils. We're pretty darn close to getting that done, though. Mather Corp is also continuing with the drainage, which is what I was showing you on the north side and the south side for the permanent structures for the stormwater. And then Computero, they're our concrete contractor, and they're continuing with full bore on concrete footings, walls, everything that you can think of.
Chris,
Yes.
contaminated soil.
Yes.
At what level is that soil contaminated?
It had elevated pesticides, herbicides, stuff like that. It's actually in a segregated pile on the north side of the project site in the laydown area. It's all covered.
And it
with,
has to be sent to a special field? A
yes.
special landfill?
Yes, it does.
Okay. How much of it's there?
2 loads.
2 loads, so what are you talking about? 80 yards, 70 yards?
Yeah, I was gonna say 60,
Okay. Yeah, I just,
give or take.
like, based on that type of contamination, you can put it almost anywhere if the town has property sitting there that could use a little fill.
Not this, this was elevated too much.
Was elevated too much?
Yeah, yep. This was elevated and has to go to a landfill.
It was identified and right within the hazmat program, and that's what we took, that's the 60 guys.
Okay. Thank you.
It was all, it was all known about, Claudio, from the start.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm just picking up on that now.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So just to pile on Tri-State, we're starting to get some of the concrete cylinder tests back, and you know they're within the design standards for the first 7 day breaks. So that's looking good. And we had the special inspector out, Bill Fleur, who's the coordinator for the special inspections, and we walked the site on Monday, and he was pleased with everything that was going on, the rebar tying, the bottom of the excavation, everything else. So he was, they're pleased with that also.
As far as the design process is concerned, we're continually reviewing submittals. As Joe has alluded to, we've opened the floodgates. Everything that we have is moving through now. So you're going to see it all, Joe. And then as we're working through the RFI process right now, that's going to be ongoing. But most of, like what I was saying before, it's mostly coordination with mechanical trades right now that we're dealing with, because they're pre-planning the entire building right now. It's part of that BIM coordination process and looking for clash detection, stuff of that nature. We're rolling through that right now. SES has been on board. We had a kickoff meeting with them for the waterproofing and damp proofing prior to placing it at the elevator pit, and we're clear with what we have to do with that. I already touched on Ferguson Mechanical, who is our gatekeeper for that MEP coordination process. We talked about FF&E and technology planning already. And then Ron just hit on Swezak, who's Bill Floor and the special inspector coordinator. Okay, so we're going through all that. Critical items, which we got today, was the septic tank water being clean, and then it looks like we're getting close to the kitchen layout. Ron, do you?
Yeah, we had a call yesterday. Yeah, it was a long time ago, but we had a call with Sandra Shaw, the food service director, Joe. I think Claudio was on the call, and Joe had the floor plans. We looked at the traffic flows and what have you. So there was just some confusion on which doors that the traffic flow was going to come in and out on. So right now it's with the principal, and we're just waiting for a confirmation of the design that's here. So it doesn't appear to be any concerns at this point, but we'll wait. I'll wait until we get that note that everything's good.
Yeah, and then we had noted that as a critical item because we're trying to get the underground MEP coordination complete in that area, because we're looking to start around first week of June getting things going in the B wing, and we're obviously going to want to come right into that C, and we want to have everything in place before that occurs. So I'm glad to hear that we're making headway on that. This is our current 2-week look ahead. It's in the handout. If there's any specific questions, we can go through it, but we've kind of hit on a majority of these items already. And then obviously in the next 30 days, we're going to be in the CAO with excavations, foundations, footings within the next 30 days. We're going to be backfilling in the B area within the next 30 days. We're going to be continuing with the storm drainage and other site amenities. And we'll be coming out of B building and into C building with Campotero. And we've already finished all the control points and benchmarks for the project. Everybody knows where they're taking their shots from. And Custom is going to be coming in and getting everything ready for the laydown area for the other trades, so that they can hook up their electrical to their trailers, connexes, all that kind of stuff. And this is a nice one. We found out that yesterday United Steel made their first cuts in steel for us, and we're going to fabrication starting on Monday. So that starts in B wing.
Can I just go back real quick on the confirmation, the kitchen layout? Are you getting the subcommittee involved with that? Are we talking directly to the kitchen staff? What are we doing here?
Reconvene the meeting with Sandra Shaw, myself, the design team, Chris, and Arcadis, just to confirm that what was expected is in the design. I had heard from Sandra that she had some concerns that it's not what they had hoped to be in there. So after that meeting, we certified everything that all the equipment that she expected to be there, is there, where it's supposed to be.
Okay.
There was some conversation regarding the serving line. There was some concern and conversation regarding which door to come in and the kids split. Now you have a cold and a hot area, how the kids crossing over. So working with Joe and the team, we revised the entrance into the cafeteria so that it can be monitored and controlled internally and the flow so the kids are not crossing over on each other. We left that meeting that Sandra was very happy with the results. Joe sent the updated information to Sandra. Sandra was just gonna run it by Ann just to make sure there's nothing else missing, but I expect everything to move forward. It was one of those meetings that needed to happen because I think there was some confusion beforehand, and this cleared everything up so everybody's on the same page. So we don't get something further down that says, that's not what I wanted.
Yeah. So in the future, I would like someone, at least one person from the design subcommittee on those conversations so that we can have some ears and, you know, like this, it didn't happen in this meeting, but if there was we need to change something conversation and that's going to end up driving costs, we really need to have someone on the building committee part of the conversation.
Sure.
We didn't necessarily lose any steps in there per se.
Yeah,
We were
that's-
going through that submittal process with the cut books of all the equipment as well as all the shop drawings through that process.
Yeah.
So now that we get this confirmation, we can push ahead and
Okay.
proceed.
Awesome. All right, sorry. Go ahead. Keep going.
No problem. Can you go to the next slide? So the green lines represent where walls have been poured. Red is where footings have been poured to pour the walls on. So that was as of last Friday. Slide. Once again, there's your footings, the pouring of, and some of the storm structures that were in the monthly report. Slide. This shows green is storm, blue is your temporary irrigation, and red is your primary electrical as of right now. Slide. And then Arcadis will take over.
Just
No,
real,
I'm all set.
just really quickly before I forget, I think it came from Dan to John Harriman to then to Rosanna about the work being done across her reporter this week with the traffic, and then we were able to get it up a little graphic on our website and notify everyone. That was super helpful. So if you guys can let Rosanna know if there's a traffic pattern change or something, because then we got it up on our website, we get it out through our mailing list to make the community aware. So if you have
Absolutely.
big, all of a sudden we're having an influx of trucks or steel's being delivered and it's going to take, an excessive amount of time for the truck to get down the street, whatever impact like that, if you can let Rosanna know so we can get a little graphic out on social media and get the community, that was really helpful to have so we could let everyone know.
Absolutely.
No problem. The next big one is gonna be the last day of school. So I'll coordinate with Claudio on when everybody's gonna be out, but as soon as, I think it's June 13th, the last day,
Yeah.
we're looking to take over the parking lot on June 14th. So we are gonna take the parking lot as soon as they're out of there. So that'll be the next, baseball's gonna be shut, no one will be able to get in that parking lot where all the staff parks right now.
For how long?
For until the teachers come back.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, as we refine it,
Well, Little League's going to be impacted then.
We'll,
That's where they park, right? So you're
Yeah, I
going
don't
to
know
close
how-
out the whole parking lot, or you closing it off?
yeah, the whole
Yeah, we did.
parking lot gets closed
But now
off.
it's-
Recommunicating it.
Going
Yes.
real.
Does the
Yeah.
Little League know that?
Well, the town knows that.
Yeah, the town knows that. Yeah.
Will they have access to like the Board of Ed and the bus loop?
It's gonna be it. We're trying to finalize that right now, but it's gonna be. Originally, they weren't gonna know,
Okay.
but I think we can work around it.
We know where they're going to park.
We know where they're gonna park. I'm just trying to make it clear from our communication that we disseminate whether we should say there will be no parking on site at CMS for the duration of the summer, or there will be no parking.
They're gonna have to park at Watchers Park and walk. Or Wiss and
Or
walk.
Wiss.
Wiss is probably easier. Shorter.
We spoke to them about that way back when,
Yeah.
and they knew it was coming. Board of Ed, we may be able to work that out.
Well, they're gonna need that parking lot anyway
But
because
they
the
need-
staff
yeah.
works all summer, so they're gonna have to have that parking lot.
Well, early discussions, we were taking their parking lot too, and they knew that. So, but as it evolves, we're trying to
Work around it.
give you your parking lot. And work, you
Lisa's
may
like,
have
fine,
to.
I'm not coming to work then.
It may get a little tricky, but
Knows where she's working. They're gonna send me to another school.
it may get tricky, but again, I just wanted to give everybody a heads up, we're refining it now, we'll let everybody know.
Okay.
Yeah.
What month are we pouring slabs?
June,
Oh.
yeah. B building will be middle of June.
Awesome.
Okay, so before you have two items for record, and in the package I distributed, you'll have both of them. The first one is the proposal from Perkins for contaminated soils monitoring, and Rosanna approved that via email on 4/29/24. So we're asking just for record that the committee approves purchase order increase number 13 to Perkins Eastman in the amount of $517.50.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Anyone abstaining? Motion carries.
The second item, you saw this change order number 3 to Newfield Construction at the April 17th meeting. During the signature process, I brought up the fact to Chris that somehow the amounts didn't match what was in the PCOs. And Chris found that it was a rounding interest, the way that it was calculated, it wasn't doing it correctly. So I'm here again to let you know that the actual amount that should have been approved is $97,152.13. It's about an $8 difference, give or take. I wrote it was $97,143.79, and now it's $97,152.13. So I'm asking that the committee approve the revised amount to Newfield Construction for change order number 3 in the amount of $97,152.13.
Take a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second? Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Anyone abstaining? Motion carries.
In the as part of the distribution, you see a stack of invoices for Arcadis, the Stonehouse Group, Newfield Construction for CMS, and Central Admin for a grand total amount of $1,833,585.51. And I ask for your approval.
I'll take a motion to approve the amount. What is the Stonehouse Group again?
It's the energy consulting.
Eversource.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Nothing from Perkins?
We're working that out with Joe.
Okay.
And that's the amount for now. Yep.
Gotcha.
Is there a motion to approve? Ken, all right, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Anyone abstaining? Motion carries.
There were no budget updates this meeting. I have not received those munis reports from the town yet, but
Okay.
you shall have them for our next meeting.
All right,
And I am done.
very good.
Your chairperson's report.
Yeah, my only report is that we did get approval from the state for the solar panels, which is great, which means I believe they're reimbursable, right? Emily?
Yeah, they are, and we have to work with preparing the 1049R, showing a new budget, current what the budget is now, as approved by the second referendum.
Yeah.
And then show where the monies for the solar panels are gonna come from and how much it will be for that.
Okay, we have that extra little
Yes.
rainy day fund.
Yeah.
And Elise, that
which
could
is
be
quickly
it's gonna be a
depleting.
new phase, right?
Yes, it will be a new phase 2. Yep.
And then we still haven't heard back from the town, from Stuart, on the fences. Because it never goes away. So I know Jack asked him multiple times to let us know if we have to go back to planning and zoning on that, or if it's just an administrative change. He may have responded. Jack's on vacation, so he may have responded since Jack's been on vacation. I have not seen that response. So, oh yeah, poke him. Awesome. That's all I had.
I have a question. Do we know our EUI before and after for solar panels?
For the solar panel design?
Well,
Oh, with
what-
or without?
yeah.
I'd have to check with CES to see if they did that calculation. Not sure if they have or not.
Okay. But they must have done it
Ye-
if we're going for rebates.
So the rebates is not based on the PV. We have a
I know, but for the EUI.
Yeah, we have the base EUI and then
so
how
we
much
know-
better. Yes, we have that. I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay.
It was decent though. if I
Energy
recall.
usage index? What's EUI? Sorry, I was making
Yeah,
that
I
up.
think that sounds right.
Really? Yes.
Nice.
I can go home tonight. Yeah, no, thank you. Okay.
What, on that, what was the rough cost for the panels?
We don't know yet, right?
I know that Jack and Ron, you guys are working on that, right?
They're just basically just kicking it off.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, they've just started working. We haven't put together an actual one. I need that actual one to
I mean, we
before
know
I go
it's
to
not going to
39
exceed
hours.
the $72 million total project budget.
It cannot.
No, it can't.
Okay. Well, are we
I mean,
running-
there's like
might
we have a
be
3
close,
million
or-
buffer right now, so it has to be under 3 million.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
I don't know until
Yeah.
they do all the work, and there's design work on top of that too. So besides the cost of the panels themselves. Any other comments, thoughts, questions?
Did anybody get emails canceling building committee?
Oh yes, I did.
Yes.
A lot of my invites were
Yeah, all the
canceled.
meetings
But they're
are
still
off.
there.
I got 6 emails canceling 6 building committee meetings.
Yep.
Yeah.
Me too.
I don't know.
June, July, and August.
Point to Lisa.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, you sent them to me. I wonder if it did something when you resend it to me.
I don't know, I can check with IT, because I just forwarded you the
Yeah.
actual invitations.
Yeah.
That's all I did.
I know.
I wonder if they're older ones, because I know they're older ones we had. Well, no. Did we cancel any?
No, it
No,
was
mine-
that- it
mine was
that
during
same
the
night you
summer.
asked me to send it to you,
Yeah.
and then later I saw all the family.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. Family was
I don't know
like
if
6,
you're-
7 of them that were just
you're,
canceling it out.
Yeah, so it showed up removed from calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I clicked that,
Yep.
and then
All
but they're
June,
still in my
July, and
calendar,
August.
so I don't
Oh,
know.
that's weird.
Yeah.
I would just resend them, I guess.
For the long and short, there's nothing I canceled.
No.
Not intentionally.
Our next meeting's in 2 weeks, I believe.
Yeah, 2 weeks, and then June 5th, and then thereafter it just drops. After June
Interesting.
5th.
Good summer off. All right. Anything else?